WLNS is here for you with 6 News at 5:30.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Siobhan Klepfer. Let's start the clock on our first 6 minutes of news. And we begin with the sentencing of a man who killed a woman and left her body along US 131 in Grand Rapids. 26-year-old Brandon Ortiz Vite pleaded guilty to the March murder of 25-year-old Ruby Garcia. He called 911 to turn himself in 2 days after the shooting. Police say Ortiz Vite told them he was drinking and using cocaine. Garcia said she wanted to break up with him and he shot her. Today in court, a judge sentenced Ortiz Vite to between 37 and 100 years in prison for second-degree murder and other crimes. This case was the focus of a Donald Trump campaign rally in Grand Rapids earlier this year because Ortiz Vite was illegally in the country. And in Muskegon County, a man is now facing criminal charges accused of releasing a toxic gas cloud in a Meijer store to cover up his shoplifting. This happened in Fruitport Township in September. Police discovered the gas cloud was coming from a plastic bottle placed in the home goods section. Investigators say it likely contained pool cleaning chemicals and that 38-year-old Alexei Johnson was seen on security video placing the bottle and stealing items at the same time. Today in court, he was charged with placing an explosive device with intent to alarm. In Detroit, a road worker who was hit by a car on I-75 while on the job on Wednesday has died. Michigan State Police confirmed the 53-year-old worker died from his injuries today. He was setting a flare pattern on the interstate when a 71-year-old driver hit him. Michigan State Police are reminding people to slow down and give workers extra space when driving in work zones. And this is the moment a road worker was almost hit by a truck in New York State. State officials posted this video today. The worker can be seen jumping out of the way just before a box truck tears through the scene. There were no injuries reported. A wildfire northwest of Los Angeles is burning out of control for a second day. High winds are feeding the flames. It is now called the Mountain Fire, which started Wednesday morning. Firefighters could get a break with the heavy winds expected to calm down tonight. More than 10,000 people are under evacuation orders as the fire continues to threaten some 3,500 structures in suburban neighborhoods, ranches, and farms. Meanwhile, fire departments responded to a wildfire today in Malibu. Authorities briefly shut down the Pacific Coast Highway while flames burn near multi-million-dollar properties. Cleanup continues tonight in Boston, where a crane came crashing down in Boston Harbor this morning, spilling fuel into the water and crushing a boat. Police say there were no injuries. Workers were using the crane to lift a barge, and it was secured in 4 places, but officials say one of those failed and the crane tipped over. The crane and part of the barge went into the water. Officials are telling people who live in an area of South Carolina to be on the lookout for escaped monkeys. They say 43 monkeys escaped this morning, and as of this afternoon, they are all still on the run. They got away from a primate research center. The company says employees know where they are and they're trying to entice them with food. But police say people should lock their doors because these monkeys are, quote, bold, extremely curious, and adventurous. Moving to New York, where former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani faced a judge. A judge ordered him to explain why he missed a deadline to surrender his belongings as part of a $148 million defamation judgment. 2 former Georgia election workers sued Giuliani over lies he spread about them in 2020. The workers reported to the court that they went to Giuliani's Manhattan apartment last week to see what assets were there, but it had been cleared out. Giuliani said today the case is political persecution and complained to the judge that he is being treated rudely. The judge gave the former mayor a Monday deadline to hand over certain assets. Today in Hungary, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky spoke at the European Political Community Summit about the importance of resisting Russian aggression. He stressed that his country needed firm support from European leaders, some of whom he criticized for wanting to loosen restrictions on Russia.
Hugs with Putin will not help. Some of leaders have been hugging him for 20 years, and things are only getting worse. He thinks only about wars and will not change. Only pressure can put limits on him.
President-elect Donald Trump has in the past criticized America's aid to Ukraine and says he's been in contact with Vladimir Putin since leaving the White House after his first term. However, Zelensky says he's had conversations with the incoming president as well. The cleanup after the flooding that killed at least 217 people in eastern Spain last week continues. This week, almost 1,000 police cadets arrived in Valencia to help out. Officials say the cadets will stay in the area for the next 2 weeks to do what they can to clear mud from streets and remove debris. Thousands of Spanish troops are already deployed in the area. Bringing it home back to East Lansing, a researcher at MSU has developed a new model for studying breast cancer that could help scientists looking at how the disease progresses. That professor modeled a little studied gene and the role it plays in how breast cancer develops. The model shows when the gene is removed from mammary glands, tumors then form. The study says that's because the gene regulates a protein linked to tumor formation.
Oh, Christmas tree, of all the trees most lovely.
And finally, in Massachusetts, the Christmas tree that will be placed in the plaza in front of the iconic Rockefeller Center in New York is on its way. The massive tree was cut down this morning and loaded onto a truck, and it will be put in place on Saturday and decorated with 50,000 lights. We're getting there. We're getting closer. Kendall.
It's really hard to believe given how warm we have been, but you're right. The holidays, they're right around the corner.
They are. So start thinking about holiday shopping because if usually you tie it to the weather and it gets cold and you feel cozy and then, think about it, but no, it's going to sneak up on us, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, especially the cold weather. It's not in the forecast right now, but it'll come eventually at least, so good reminder to make your list now.
All right, your full forecast with Kendall right after the break, and then later here on Feel on 5:30. A new holiday-themed rom-com is among the latest streaming offerings for you to check out over the weekend. We'll show you and have a preview in this week's Popcorn Picks. That and much more still to come, and we'll be right back.